having taken a couple of days off to enjoy Christmas, it's back to work, and it's back to doing the channel, which takes the water from the storm drain up at the road around the perimeter of our land and eventually down to the stream at the bottom. Now, this canal hasn't been worked on for a long amount of time. Before I dug it out behind us, which I did over a day just before Christmas, there was no channel to speak of at all. So instead of the storm water draining quickly off the land, it was able to make its way across the area, the half-acre area that we're planning on having our fruit orchard and our vegetables, and soaking in and making it absolutely sodden. And last winter you couldn't even walk on it because Portugal had one of the wettest winters it had had in a very long time, and it would have been unusable. Right now though, it's absolutely perfect for us to put some vegetables in, and in a few weeks it'll be time to get potatoes and onions and a lot of other things in. So we want to do our preparation now because we're really keen on growing our own fruit and vegetables here on the farm. So what I need to keep doing, and I've got a couple of 100 meters worth to do, is to keep clearing the channel where one doesn't exist any longer, and then to make repairs and improvements to where it does. And largely the channel is pretty good. It just has become a little bit dilapidated over time because it hasn't been worked on. So today's job is to keep working in this direction and get the canal clear, so that when Miranda and I next come down onto the land where we plan to have the vegetables, we can take up the top surface of grass and begin turning over the land ready for the potatoes which are chitting and the onions which are set to go. Where I can, I'm saving any soil which is going to be good enough to be topsoil. We've got so many projects that we want to plan to do that we're going to try and make use of everything that we've got on the farm. This soil's really good, so Miranda's planning on having some pots for fruits and vegetables, and also her cut flower garden. We'll put this soil to one side and it'll be available to use later on whenever we need it. Chucking in a few roots with it, but I'm pretty sure Miranda will pick through it before she uses it. Okay, so the first hour's progress has been pretty good. I'm making my way further up the canal. More good topsoil's coming out, or as good as it's going to be for what we have on the land to repurpose. So I'm thinking of just taking out now another sort of meter's worth, and after that I need to bend around an olive tree that's slightly in the way. I think also before doing that, before doing any more, after what I dig out now, I get the strimmer out, bring it down, and start cutting back the area that's going to go behind the olive tree, and then for all the way up for the next 10 meters where we do join what is the assemblance of some canal, some channel, which will be a good success. So then we've got at least something that's taking the water from the road all the way down past where the veg patch is going to be. Well, I've been back up to the house to have a little bit of breakfast and a cup of tea this morning. The sun's come out proper now and it's warming up, and for the remainder of the morning the canal part that I'm going to be cutting out is going to go around this olive tree. Now it's going to go really close to it. It's going to interrupt or disrupt some of its roots, but I'm not worried about that because this olive tree is a bit of a rogue. It's out on its own, well away from the remainder of the olive grove. Our neighbour, when he came over and walked the land with us, explained that olives like this have probably established themselves from seeds, and they're not part of the proper grove itself, and generally they don't produce many olives on them. So I'll be as careful as I can, but I know that I don't have to fret over anything. It'll likely be fine, and if it's not going to do any particular damage, because we didn't see many olives on it this year, and it probably doesn't produce many overall anyhow. Okay, we're making good progress up past this or towards this olive tree. The ground's so soft. I think it's just a load of stuff that's built up, that's become trapped as the water's come down over the years. So I think I'm going to make pretty good progress. I kept going for another half hour before stopping for some lunch and popping back up to the house. Good news on the olive tree. I'm way beyond that point now, and no real signs of any roots being disturbed. So I think that's absolutely rock solid. But I'm now getting to an area on the canal where there's a lot more rocks coming into play. They're slowing me down, they need picking out. I'm not producing quite as much soil as I was for Miranda to use in any raised beds or pots. And also I'm starting to get tired as well. I said to Miranda previously that 4 hours was probably enough on the canal digging. I'm about that far into it now, but I'm going to keep going. We've got tomorrow to commit to it as well. I think we'll get such a good long way up the hill by then that I think I'll persevere and keep digging away, at least till maybe 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. I think it's just gone about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm knackered, so I'm calling it a day now, but I thought we'd have a little walk through just to see how things are looking, having done about 6 hours work today. So overall I'm pretty happy with where we're going. We've got a nice amount of soil built up to be repurposed later on. I think if I'm going to be looking at making any changes or alterations, I don't think I'll do any of them until I've seen how things run in a storm, and it might be several months before that happens, but I know I sat here waiting for it to go, but it does. One thing I do know is, like areas like this, I think cutting into the bank and just seeing these stones exposed like that, they're going to get washed out eventually, but I don't think it's anything too difficult to fix. What I can do, if needs be, is choose to widen the canal here to be able to broaden the amount of water that can flow down, because I do think I've got narrower as I've gone up. But I'm still a couple of feet down more, I think, than what it was before. And if you can see what was here when we arrived, when we bought the place, we're definitely making an improvement. The other thing I think will be handy, and I'll repeat it as I go along all the way up the bund, is on the right hand side I'm just stacking some soil up, which will condense down, but it will grow grass, and it'll just act as a little barrier should the water overtop at any point. But we'll see what happens. The main thing is that we want the majority of the water that flows on the land to make its way down the channel and away from where we're going to have the fruit and vegetables, and I think largely we'll achieve that with what we've done today.
Hello, it's It is another lovely Alentejo day and we have headed out for a little bit of a walk. We've seen a path that we'd like to follow, so we're going to try and explore it today.
Yeah, in the nearby area there's lots of little paths that make their way around sort of some of the more forested areas and sort of little hamlets, so we always enjoy going around to see what we can see when we go for a stroll.
And it's yet another day with no rain and glorious sunshine, so why wouldn't you?
Yeah. There's always one thing that we never fail to be struck by being out here in Portugal this time of year is just how beautifully green and lush the fields are. Now the one to our left is clearly been ploughed and reseeded this year with a grass crop which is probably designed for sheep to eat. But even then, even to our right, it's still beautifully lush and green with a field which is just used for cattle and hasn't been prepared in any way. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous here. And it stays like this through till around about March, April, before the dry season really starts to kick in. And everything then does eventually turn a bit arid and deserty for the hottest part of summer. But between sort of September, October and April, as you see it now, is very much how Alentejo in Portugal looks.
National Trust land, we like to call it.
Yeah. Well, there's a bit of cow movement going on now.
I don't think you need to whistle them, they're coming over anyway.
think we're accidentally cow whispering.
Ah, there's a few babies.
Stunning. Oh, they got little udders. They got teeny weeny udders.
So maybe it is pregnant then, the white one.
I think it might be a bull. Oh, they're even coming from far over to our right now.
What have you done?
I don't know what they did. What I did. It must obviously be a time of day where something happens for them. This is such a typical sight to see in Portugal. Abandoned farms, abandoned homes. Some for sale, some aren't. The derelict, the land's abandoned. Normally they come with a few acres or so as well. You can see this one's surrounded by nice olive trees, old fruit trees and cork oaks. It's astonishing. We never get over the amount of properties like this we see as we're driving around. I think these are called fruit salads, and they flower all year round seemingly. Have you ever seen them out of flower?
No. I love them. I can't wait to get a fruit salad bush.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Mention in the comments if you could know why I'm calling it fruit salad.
Time for a few more hours of this. Do you know what? I reckon it's time for a cup of tea. Well, in the end, a cup of tea turned into a bit of lunch, which I didn't mind at all. So I've come back down now. I'm back stood in the canal again, and progress this morning's been pretty good. I'll show you. We're still merrily making our way along. We're a bit wonky in places and a bit wobbly in others, but essentially we've got a lot more going on down here to drain water away than what we had before. have gotten a bit trickier than they were when I began. When I started, I was just going into pure soil that I felt was good enough to put to one side, ready for repurposing into some pots or raised beds. But now what I'm finding is I'm getting loads and loads of stone like this in every shovelful. It's really slowing me down, and it's also meaning that the depth of my trench is getting what's the word I'm looking for? Shallower. The depth of my trench is getting shallower as I'm moving on up. Now I'm hoping that might not matter too much, because I'm not sure if you can make it out, but from the top of the trench there's almost like a bowl shape going down, which is being created by putting in the soil, or putting the soil on top of the bank on the left hand side as you look in. So that hopefully that will raise up the overall height of the gully that the water will run through. Obviously the height of that soil is going to sink when it settles, but it will stay, it will maintain, it will get grass growing in it, and that'll help bind it together with all the roots that go through it. So I'm not despondent, I'm just aware that parts of the bund, gully, canal, whatever you want to call it, are going to have a slightly different depth and makeup as far as shape and size is concerned as I go along. It's very much the case on in the areas to the north of here where the bund is, probably determined by what they used to dig it out. I don't know whether they did it by hand or whether they brought in a JCB, but there are contrasts to how it looks as you go around. The main thing is that it does its job, and I think between the trench, even if it is shallower, and the way the shape of the gully is formed, we'll get the majority of the job done when it does come to storm water coming down. I'll be honest, when I said I'd do a little bit more, I didn't really do a great deal at all. So I'm done for the day. Just to recap really what I've done over the last couple of days visually, let's take a look.